I feel like a lot of people in front of the camera, they kind of turn it on and off as far as who they are in front of the camera. But you're this dynamic sun up to sun. I mean, every time I see you.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that?
You know what's really funny? I was really shy as a kid.
Really?
I was one of those kids that
So there was a point where it came out.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Proclamation Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nolan, and I'm here with my good friend and guest, Kevin Hernandez.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for being here.
It's weird being on this side of things.
You're on that side.
I'm on this side.
Yeah. And we have a camera, but no cameraman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah. I'm
this is
so
exciting.
Glad that you agreed to be
You're
on
my
it.
first podcast I've ever
What?
done. I've never done a podcast before.
Oh my gosh. All right. So you've done many things like a podcast.
Many things like
Media.
a podcast. Media. Yeah. I got to learn how to talk slow because usually in TV,
You go fast.
You go fast. You get 2.5
Oh, you
minutes
can
to
go
get
fast if
an
you want.
entire segment out. So this time
I
it's
love it.
I can talk slow. I can breathe. I
Yeah.
can just relax, take it all in.
You're the guest.
Exactly.
You have your coffee.
I have my coffee. Thank you.
Yeah,
Best
you can
coffee
enjoy
in town.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's true.
Did we meet because of Good Day Sacramento?
I think we met because of the chamber.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
But you had been on Good Day Sacramento beforehand.
I love it when Good Day Sacramento calls me.
They're so much fun. And
Yeah.
you're like that go-to person. You're one of those go-to people that we can text or call at the last minute. And it's like, hey, can we come at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Easy interview.
Well, but those are the best kinds of people to
Yeah.
have. Those are the
Yeah.
best kinds of businesses because when you're in a pinch and you're literally like, my 7 a.m.
fill a
segment
slot.
just canceled and it's
Yep.
5 p.m. on Friday, it's good to be that person.
What is that life like? I mean, is it just crazy fast all the time?
It's really fast and it's really busy. You're never really off the clock.
Yeah.
Because you just have people constantly, hitting you up at all hours of the day, at night. And
Yeah.
really, I think it feels that way too, because that life starts at like 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And so when you're wrapping your day up during the lunch hour, people are just kind of in the middle of their day.
In the middle of the day.
And so you feel like, oh, they're calling me at 7 p.m. But really, it's not that late.
Right.
So it's a weird life, but it's a
When I
fast-paced
got married,
life.
my wife said, you can't call people after, I don't remember what time it was, but
Yeah.
it's something like 7. And
Yeah.
I said, why not?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
why
I do
not?
it all the time
Yeah.
now, but back then I remember thinking, this is really late. Don't they know?
Yeah. There's protocols.
There's protocols. Yeah.
So for people who are watching, maybe they're in Amsterdam, they don't know what Good Day Sacramento is. What is Good Day Sacramento, and how long did you work there? How'd you get involved there?
So Good Day Sacramento is a morning entertainment feature show that covers the Sacramento region, Stanislaus County, Yolo County, Placer County, all the
Okay.
local counties.
Yeah.
But the 209 area code is the furthest that show goes. And it's a unique show. It's a great show. It's kind of like a local Good Morning America
Yeah.
type of show
Totally.
that has been on a very long time, almost 30 years.
Wow.
And it's funny, what's funny is actually on my way over here, I was thinking about like, okay, what's he going to ask me? And and what do I say? What are my answers going to be? And my career at Good Day Sacramento started because of one person. And it's funny because I heard Shannon Lujan. She was a reporter for My 58. And I was 20 years old and
Just a baby.
Just a baby, and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, because really, who does at that age? I mean, let's
No.
be real.
Yeah.
At that time in your life, you think you have it all figured out, but really you're so far from what
Knowing who you are.
exactly. So my cousin had done this, it was called Tiger Camp, and it was based on the Tiger Woods Foundation's
Okay.
pre-scandal.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
he was still very, popular
Yeah.
and inspirational
Not Joe
at that
Exotic
time.
Tiger Camp.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so I was, it was a camp though for underprivileged youth, and it was a great camp. I was asked to be a camp counselor because I was working in after school programs at that time. And so media came out, and Shannon Lujan was, she was a former Raiders girl, Raiders cheerleader, but she was also a reporter for My 58. And she came out, she was asking for interviews, asked me for an interview. And after we were done, she was like, you were really good on TV. And it was like, okay, thanks. And she said, have you ever thought about getting into TV? And I was like, I don't even know.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? And so, she said, let's talk later. And so then later she came up to me and was like, I'm really serious. You should consider that. And I was like, I just laughed because, again, I had no idea what that even meant.
What is that like now, looking back and seeing that somebody just pinpointed that in your life and could see that in you?
Yeah. She literally changed my life. And I wish I could tell her that. I think she's still in the Sacramento area. I don't know if she's on TV though.
Yeah.
But she changed my life.
Shannon, if you're watching this, reach out to Kevin.
But she literally changed my life. And she probably, that was 14 years ago. She probably doesn't even remember me, but I remember her because that was that moment where it's because of her that I even knew how to get an internship in television. I got that internship and then I was hired 3 days after my internship ended. So really she started that career path for me. Rolling. She did. And if I could thank her in person, I would love to, because, and so that's why as I've gotten older, I've always tried to be sort of that person for the young people today.
You're looking out for people who are about to start shining,
100%,
about to blossom.
100%. And so anytime there's young people, again, like I worked at adventure clubs here in Roseville. And so a lot of my former students are in their 20s in college. A lot of them are have graduated. Yeah. So anytime that they reach out to me and they're like, Mr. Kevin, because that's what my name was, Mr. Kevin, I'm looking for a job or I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, I will always make sure I help, because I remember being that age and having somebody do that for me. And it literally changed my life.
Changed your life so you could change theirs.
Exactly. And so you got to pay it forward. Yeah. So, and I think that it was really because of that journey on Good Day Sacramento. I was there almost 8 years, to then the chamber, to now. It all started because of that one time that she said, hey, I think you can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and it's crazy how if somebody just believes in us in a small thing, it can lead to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people right now are struggling because they're trying to find the third thing or skip to.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, just get the job at the place that will hire you.
Exactly.
And then the next place will be easier, and the next place, and it'll be a building block. It'll be foundational.
Well, you got to put in the work too. And I think that
what does that mean?
When I started that internship, of course, here's the funny thing is about Good Day is I had never watched the show. I didn't know. I was not starstruck by anybody.
You're out of here.
Yeah, I was not starstruck by anybody.
Which is probably a strength.
And my mom was the one who said, oh, you should do Good Day Sacramento because it's really fun. And I said, okay. And I knew Marcus Allen. Everybody knows Marcus Allen. And so I knew who he was because he's really out there in the community even still. But I was not really that starstruck. But I went in there and I learned everything I could. I was a yes person.
You're just absorbing.
I absorbed it all. I everything anybody asked of me, I said yes to. It could be something as like one time I remember getting a big bin of batteries, and the photographer was like, can you wrap these in black tape so they don't explode? And I wrapped 60 batteries. Wow. That's like the kind of person I was. Yeah. I just wanted to
turn your nose up at that.
Not at all. And I was not somebody who walked in there and said, I only want to be on TV. Yeah. If anything, the behind the scenes stuff really fascinated me. So I worked really hard, and it paid off because I did this internship for 5 months, however long an internship is. And, I got hired part-time as a production assistant. And
was it an unpaid internship?
It was an unpaid internship.
Wow.
Yep.
So you had to put in the time.
I put in the time, and I was there. I was only required to be there, I think maybe 2 days, and I was there 4. I would go Monday through Thursday, and I would be there.
And they didn't care if you showed up more?
They didn't care if I showed up.
That's
they used to like me being there because I would sit at the assignment desk, which is like the kind of the hub of, it's like the brain of that building. So that's where all the phone calls come in. So I was able to answer kind of the crazy calls, like the people who would call and were like mad because
young idiot you just had on the show, and I want to know where they live.
Yeah, or they were the people that would call and be mad because Young and the Restless was being interrupted by breaking news, and so I would take those calls. So they liked me at that desk, and
people
I enjoyed
about that.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, all the time. And so I enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed
what little things we know.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that, and I really liked that I got to be up there on that desk and listening to scanners.
You were the point man for
exactly.
people.
Yeah. So it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they hired you coming off that internship.
They hired me.
But you didn't go out in the field in front of the camera day one, right?
No, God. I was there. I was there about 3 years before I actually ever even went on TV for the first time.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't have really a desire to. I was just having fun behind the scenes. I worked the weekend show primarily, and that really is that's like a family because it's a really small staff.
Because they're just the Saturday, Sunday crew.
Right.
Okay.
So there was like a core group of maybe 15 of us. Wow. And we were all really close. It really is like a family. Even still, I'm still close with so many of them that I worked with back then. And my first big story was it was the reporter at the time. I think she went home sick or something, and so she couldn't do her last 2 segments. And it was at the Radisson Hotel, and it was like a mini Comic-Con. And the people she was going to interview were 3 of the original Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And that whole like week building up to it, I kept talking about, make sure you get me an autograph.
Were you a Power Rangers fan?
Oh yeah. I mean, that was my childhood. I mean,
so
5 years.
You were starstruck then.
Oh my like I've been lucky enough to meet quite a few celebrities.
Yeah.
That to this day, those are the ones that like just I was speechless.
So crazy.
I mean, it was meeting your childhood hero. I feel like who wouldn't? I mean, I was 5 years old when that show came out.
They destroyed evil.
Oh my gosh. And they were
awesome.
so cool. And so she called out sick, or she had to go home sick. And so they literally, it was like one of those moments, I'll never forget it.
Like,
when you're a bench warmer.
Coach.
Yeah, no, seriously. I was like a bench warmer all season. And then it was like, it's your turn. And I shot up and I took that opportunity, and it was just one of the most memorable moments of my life because I just kept telling them like, you are my heroes. I wanted to be you. I wanted to be in Angel Grove fighting villains with you. Like It was just the coolest thing. And I got a picture with them, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people in front of the camera, they kind of turn it on and off as far as who they are in front of the camera, but you're this dynamic sun up to sun. I mean, every time I see you, have you always been like that?
I was, what's really funny? I was really shy as a kid.
Really?
I was one of those kids that
there was a point where it came out.
Yeah. Like it was, I would probably say high school. Like all of a sudden in high school, because I was really shy. I was always the kid who was really quiet in the room. I'd be behind my mom's legs. I didn't want people really staring at me or wanting to talk to me. Yeah. And then, I don't know, probably high school, like maybe just sophomore year. It really did. Like all of a sudden I don't know. I just was like, life's fun and things are fun and there's no reason to be scared and let's just live it up. And that's kind of just how I've been. But my sister makes fun of me because it was the opposite. She was the loud one. Oh. And then all of a sudden.
Maybe that was part of the reason you were quiet.
Maybe she took all the attention. But then it was the roles reversed. And now she's not an introvert, but she very much is.
She's more quiet.
Very quiet. She doesn't like speaking in front of people. Something like this would probably make her a little nervous.
Sure.
To whereas me, I'm like, I love it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny how people they kind of could get labeling themselves or stuck in a rut of like, well, I'm shy or this or that. And there's these seasons of life where you're going to become a different person or things are going to come out that weren't there before.
100%.
And just like being patient to wait for that process to start.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, as you know, 5 months.
Yes.
And I have to read her all these silly books, but it's funny because they get you in a different way when they're to your kid. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa. And I've been reading her The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Oh, yes. And just his transformation is hilarious in the book, but also it's beautiful because, he does all these little things and they seem like a big deal to him. And then he has this big day of eating and then he becomes this beautiful butterfly. And I think that, people are like, oh, I tried this one thing and it didn't go well. Right. So I'm going to give up or I'm just going to get stuck on that one thing. Absolutely. And you just got to keep going to the next day and the next day and keep turning the page and suddenly the transformation will happen. Absolutely. And I mean, here we are now in our 30s. and you realize how different you are from the person you were in your 20s.
Absolutely.
And then that makes you realize the person I am now is nothing like 50-year-old Kevin.
Yeah.
He's going to be totally different.
That's scary because 30 hits you really quickly. I mean, your 20s just fly by, but that's why too, they're a lot of fun, but that's why I really try to, these young kids that I am so lucky enough to still know from when they were small kids, or,
they
friends
still coming to you.
Oh, all the time. And I have friends with young kids, and they're young to us, but they're not young. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
But that's why I always try to explain to them, don't grow up too fast, because have fun while you can still have fun, because then there gets to a certain point where, you have to sort of lay it down and take life more seriously. But, just have fun while you're young. And again, you don't have to know. I mean, think about it. It's really scary when you graduate high school and you're kind of thrown out into this world of, okay, go figure life out. I mean, when you're in that situation,
there's not enough like transitional period.
There's really not. And when you're in that situation at the time, I'm sure you can recall being 18, you think you have it all under control and figured out. And now as an adult, you look back on that and it's like, holy cow.
I thought it was so smart.
Yeah, same. I mean, and now, so I just don't think you should have to know. I mean, some people do, and that's great. And more power to them.
Yeah.
But you don't have to know what you want to do. And like you said, you change so much from 18 to 21, from 21 to 25, from 25 to 30. So, it's just, I don't regret anything about the way I've lived life. I mean,
it's awesome.
I did it a little bit slower than some people did, in the sense that, like, I stayed in college 5 years instead of 4. I started off at community college, and then I went to Sac State. But like, I did it my way. It's like that song, the Frank Sinatra song, My Way, and so it's like, I did things the way I wanted to. And I feel like every sort of step that I took, I did it at my own pace, and I don't regret it. And
totally.
So it's been really fun thus far.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is family.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of just touched on that with your friends and seeing their kids being born and stuff. Is I see from the way that you post and the things that you say that family and your friends are super like foundational in your life.
Yeah.
And just like taking ownership of like their kids too, and what they're doing. Like, how important is that to you?
Really important. I was really just brought up in a family that just believed in loyalty. And so I like to give the same thing back, and I expect the same thing, which sometimes can be hard. Because
you don't always get it.
You don't always get it, and you can lose friends like that sometimes, because you feel like the loyalty you give to them, they should give it to you just as intensely back, and then sometimes they don't. But yeah, no, my family's always been really important. We're very close. And
you said you had a sister.
I have a sister, and she just had a baby almost 2 months ago, actually. And then my nephew just turned 2 actually yesterday.
Wow.
And so it's been really, that has changed our relationship in such a positive way. Not that it wasn't positive before. Yeah. But to see my sister as a mom has been one of the weirdest, coolest, just craziest things ever. And I'm sure your siblings can attest to that as well. And because it's such a different role that my whole life, she's been my sister, and now she's 2 kids' mother. Yeah. She's, somebody's wife. It's the coolest, just craziest thing. And then, and my parents they've always been really hard workers. My dad was always like, he was that dad that was like, nothing is just given to you. Money does not grow on trees. He used to love to say that. And, you have to earn. Dads
have their sayings.
They really do. My dad has a lot of sayings, but he was always really just strict in the sense that, like, you have to earn what you have. You have to be a hard worker. You don't just go out there and expect anything. And so my sister and I have really strong work ethics. And I think it's a lot because of him. It's because of my mom's a nurse. So seeing how hard she's worked, especially during this whole pandemic, more than ever.
She's busting her butt.
She has been. And so I think we just kind of saw, we do what we saw and still continue to see. So, but our families are so close. My family's so close. And, my friends are I've had a lot. I've had the same core kind of group of friends for a very long time. Actually, since I moved out here in 2005, I just met them, just working with them. And they're still some of my best friends, closest friends to this day. And I'm continuing to meet people along the way that I think very highly of. And it's It's important. It really is.
Yeah.
And just that whole just treating the simple golden rule, just treating others the way you want to be treated. I really try to do that. And I hope it's something I accomplish because, I just think that's so important. I learned that in like first grade, second grade, and you think it's so simple, but I think especially
we need to be reminded of it.
Exactly. Especially in today's day and age and the world that we're living in now,
Yeah.
So we
were just talking about wearing masks and it's like, just to some people it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And to other people it's not a big deal. And you should try to understand where somebody else is coming from.
Right.
And you should expect that of them.
Absolutely.
That they're going to understand where you're coming from. And I walked into a place the other day and a guy didn't have his mask on, a meeting in a private office. And I said, should I just take my mask off? And he said, yeah, that's fine. I'm fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I'm not vaccinated, but it's like, that wasn't part of the conversation. So you just gotta like understand like ebb and flow and where are people coming from. And
well, I know what you mean. I wore my
instead of
mask
just
in
saying,
here.
I'm going to walk in here.
Right.
And the way that I believe is the way it's going to be for everybody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Social media was a very ugly thing during the pandemic at the very peak of it.
Press pause on social media for 2020.
Kidding. I mean, you had an election year and a pandemic in the same year. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything worse, right?
Right.
But I'm the same way. You just always gotta. I mean, I walked into Foursquare with a mask because you don't want to make assumptions that.
Yeah, it's respectful.
It's respectful. Yeah. And again, I don't criticize anybody who chooses not to wear one. I don't criticize anybody who is not wanting to be vaccinated. It's everybody's got a choice. And, and instead of bashing each other for it, we should, like you said, just try to understand.
Totally.
Or just,
I think that the podcast has helped me see that not a lot of people have these face-to-face conversations, even pre-pandemic.
Sure.
Like I understand the last year, a lot of people weren't doing it for health reasons and safety reasons, but even before that, they're not talking to people. And then when things happen, they're like, I don't really know how to relate to people or talk to people, or I don't understand where other people are coming from or their background or their religion or their race or their family dynamic or their gender. And so when these issues come up in our society, they don't know anybody else who has a different opinion for themselves.
Yep.
So they can't love somebody who's different than them because they don't even know anybody.
Right.
Or say you and I know each other, but we never talk. And I don't know that, you came from this type of background and I came from this type of background. And now we understand each other.
Right.
I just know you on such a surface level.
Right.
And so when you dig into somebody's life and you get to know them on a deeper level, then when someone says, like this is an issue that we're dealing with in society, I can say, I have a friend who's dealing with that.
Yeah.
Who's dealt with suicide or who's dealt with, a death in the family.
Sure.
Or, any type of tragedy or just a background that I don't understand, but I know somebody who does understand it. 100%. And I know the type of person they are. I know they've overcome.
Yeah.
And now I have a relational jumping off point.
Sure.
To be able to discuss this difficult issue that we're all dealing with.
Well, and even just, I think that it's so important to just talk to people. Be friendly, be nice to people. I mean, because I think that those connections go a really long way. I mean, I look at, you, for example, when we met because of my time working at the Roseville Chamber of Commerce, it's like, I was coming here. The Chamber's a big supporter of Foursquare, and you were, you joined the Chamber, and it was like, wow, this guy, he's a young professional and he's doing this thing and this is so cool. And this is a great coffee shop. It's good stuff. It's a great vibe. And so it's, I would always, and I still refer you to people. It's like, have you been to Foursquare? Or, let's put you on Good Day just because it's, or we should meet at Foursquare. Oh, I've never been here. Oh yeah, let's come back. I mean, I've had many, many meetings here with people who have never been here, but it's that kind of, I do it because I want to support your business. It's good coffee, but I also want to support your business because of the relationship that you and I have built. Yeah. Because you're a nice person, you're a genuine person, you're friendly. If it was something where the owner's not very friendly, let's not go there. I mean, how many of us say that? Totally. Or the service was terrible, let's not go there. I was just
talking to a guy this morning who said that he has somebody in his team who is really, really good at their job, but he wouldn't want to send certain clients their way because of the way he treats the clients. So he has to vet, will this client be able to handle this person's personality and the way that they deal with things? Yeah. Even though they're good at their job, I don't know if I want to subject somebody to that. And that shouldn't be the way that it is. You know, you especially if you're in customer service, which is basically almost every job.
That's pretty much every job.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I went to the DMV the other day and I had a great customer service experience, even though that guy's paycheck is in no way determined by how he treats me. Yeah. He treated me with respect. He was very punctual with everything that he did. And I was like, it doesn't have to be the way that the stigma is.
Absolutely.
Also, I was only there for 40 minutes, which is pretty amazing. Wow. And I spent most of that time filling out paperwork that they gave me.
See, the pandemic has its silver linings.
Yeah, it has silver linings.
You in and out.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, sometimes we have these stigmas and they can be overcome just by a little bit of courtesy and respect and just trying to ask yourself that question of where is this person coming from and how can I treat them the way that I want to be treated?
Yeah. That reason, what you just said, is why I at a restaurant, I will tip based on service and not what they tell me gratuity should be. Yeah. I don't, if it's bad service, I don't tip you well.
Yeah. Totally.
I won't stiff you, but I'm not going to tip you what 10%, 12%, 15% is. I will tip you a lot less because I feel like it's that courtesy, like what you just said, that makes a difference in everything. It's an experience. Coming here to Foursquare is an experience. You know, people come here for the atmosphere, for the mood.
Because they could get coffee somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. And they come here for the reasons that they come here. I mean, everybody's got a different reason. I mean, like I said, I like to support your business. It's a small business. I really enjoy the coffee. The vibe here is great. So, I mean, everybody has a reason, but I think if you weren't the person you were and say you weren't taking the time to get to know your clientele and your customers, I mean, it'd be a whole different experience coming here. You wouldn't have the second overflow room here, you know, because I mean, you got that because
people want to be here.
People want to be here. Yeah, absolutely.
My dad is always frustrated with my sister and my brother and myself because whenever we all want to go out to eat, we always say we want to go to the same restaurant because we all know the owner. And we all love the food is amazing. But we know the owner. And that's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
And it's like, we want to go here. And he's like, I don't get what the big deal is with that place. And it's like, but there's something about going and knowing that I'm not just supporting another, you know, Taco Bell chain.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm supporting this person and their family and their values, which radiate out into everything they do and the people that they hire and the model that they have and the mission that they have. And I'm supporting that, not just a bottom line, which is okay too. Like those businesses definitely have a place in our society. Yeah. And I don't think they're evil like a lot of people do. But just that if I have a choice and it's not about convenience, I'm going to choose something that I care about more than just the product.
It's funny because you reminded me of this conversation I was having yesterday with a buddy of mine. And we were talking about, you know, the pandemic when it first started, you know, last year, 2020, you know, everybody was out for the shop local and support local business campaigns, which really should be a full-time thing. I mean, but I think the pandemic it reminded people, we need to keep these small and local businesses and shops and restaurants in business. The big guys will
survive.
Exactly. And now things are starting to open back up. I mean, we're seeing that June 15th is supposed to be this magic day where everything reopens. So now it's going to be interesting to see if people put their money where their mouth is, because with everything opening back up, are we going to go back to the same lifestyle we were living beforehand where we're not supporting these local businesses, or are we going to continue to do it so they continue to thrive and get back on their feet? So that'll be really interesting. But we were just talking about that yesterday and saying the next year will be really interesting for a lot of these businesses. And I hope people do the right thing, and I hope that they continue.
Yeah, I think that the next 2 years are going to be a lot harder for the small businesses than the last 1 year was. Because we're going to have to deal with, I mean, a lot of people went into debt. A lot of people took on extra risk, you know, signing a longer lease or something. And they may still be reeling from the low sales or no sales at all in 2020.
Yeah. I mean, like look at you guys, for instance. I mean, you had a clientele that was going out of their way to support you because it was, I mean, I remember when I was worried. I remember thinking, oh, Foursquare closes, like that's just going to be awful because again, I'm a regular here and I have been for a long time. And you guys definitely pivoted by doing the coffee deliveries and doing all that. And
I did not know how much of a difference that was making.
Yeah,
but
I wish
you
still did it.
Huge difference. Yeah.
I wish you would still do it.
Maybe should. Yeah.
You really should, because that would be very convenient. Have you guys come to the office?
Exactly.
I'm just right up the street now at my new gig. So yeah, exactly.
Actually, don't hold me to it, but I think they're coming out with a build your own app with our POS system. So if we can do that, it might come back.
That would be awesome.
We just got to get like a sweet delivery vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Like, help me keep an eye out for that. Say, like, it's got to be like roll up, and at minimum, it has to have a giant Abe head painted on it.
At least.
But if it was like a sweet old like Aston Martin or something,
that'd be so sick.
How awesome
would
that
be so awesome. You know, not that I don't like coming here, but like I said, the delivery was just really convenient.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, you know, especially when you're in a rush. I mean, we all have the best intentions sometimes. Oh, I'll get up early tomorrow so I can stop off and get a coffee. And then you sleep in an extra 10 minutes because you can't get up, and then you go without coffee. Like, this is actually perfect because I did not get coffee today.
And it met people where they were at too, because people had different reasons, whether they were immunocompromised,
right?
They're working from home,
right.
All sorts of reasons. It met people where they were at, which was fun. I learned where a lot of my customers live too. I was like, oh, it's you. Wow, you're
Maybe
here.
some of them you weren't probably. It was like, oh, you live here, huh?
It was funny because there was one customer who I pulled up to their house, and it was everything that I thought it would be, you know, and like their yard was like they were out in their yard, like pruning stuff to like this meticulous level. And I was like, you would be the person who is on their knees, you know, trimming the bushes, making everything look perfect.
Type A.
It was just like, it was exactly what I thought. In a good way. Like not a negative thing, but it's funny.
That's amazing.
You get to see the other side.
But I love though that as the business owner, you were out there making the deliveries. Because I think that speaks volumes.
You have to be the vanguard. You have to be the first person to step out. You can't ask your staff to do something like that.
No, I
keep telling people, if I haven't been exposed to COVID this year, nobody has.
Right.
It's not real because I was out all the time.
Sure.
And I never got sick, but I think I had one of those blood types where.
Got it. Oh yeah. Was it the O positive? Is that
I think I'm one of those.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. No, but I
looked into it, but I've forgotten more things than I know
blood
about
type?
COVID. Yeah.
Should we draw blood right now?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I think that is actually sidebar super crazy that we all have pretty much everything that our body is the same, but you can't share blood with somebody who's not the same blood type.
I do think that's weird.
Yeah.
I do think that's
crazy.
Weird. I mean, it's like science can literally create babies using somebody else's body, another woman's body, but we can't, like you said, we can't share blood types. It's the weirdest thing.
It is wild.
Maybe one day, maybe you should look into that.
I don't know.
Maybe that's your next partnership.
It's meant to be. I think it's meant to be.
Yeah. Maybe that's your next partnership.
Yeah. There's a lot to dig into there.
Yeah. I think you should do it.
I want to ask you a coffee question.
Yes, please.
What is your very first memory of coffee?
That has plagued me for a long time, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was 18, because my sister is a year older than me, she went to Sonoma State, and her first job was in Starbucks.
Oh, nice.
And she worked Starbucks for, I think, 4 years. But and I remember she would come home every break and she would bring these bags of coffee beans. And I was 18. I didn't drink coffee. And then, you know, I started working in news. And again, I still was not drinking coffee. I was getting up midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m. and I still was not drinking coffee because I was young. So I was drinking the Red Bulls, which not good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I want to say probably, I don't know, it was maybe 23, 24, the first time I really started drinking coffee and enjoying it. And at that point, she hadn't worked at Starbucks for 2 years. So it plagues me because I regret all the times I did not take advantage of those free coffee bags that she would bring.
You're like, all that wasted free coffee.
My parents had to tell her to stop bringing coffee home because they had so many bags they couldn't keep up. So,
I had the same problem when I worked there.
Yeah.
My parents couldn't drink it fast enough.
Yeah. So I think that I was like 23, 24 when I started drinking coffee and actually enjoying it. Because that was the thing too. When you start drinking coffee,
it's because you need it.
But then it's hard when you're like a new coffee drinker because you don't know how to order it. or you have to really kind of play around with the flavors as to what you like. And so that was really hard because I'd want to go into a coffee shop.
And when you're young and it's $4, you're like, I don't want to buy something I don't like.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't know, but at Starbucks, they'll just, oh, you don't like it? Here, we'll make something else.
Right.
You know, they're very good about that.
Yeah.
Just say yes. That's one of their mottos.
Yeah. No, I love that. So I played around with it for a while before I was like, this is the kind of coffee I like. And this is what I'll drink, because I've ordered some really bad coffees before that I didn't want to tell the barista it was bad, because I knew it was something that was my bad, you know, because I didn't know how to order coffee. So, but I would say 23, 24.
It's crazy that Starbucks created that, because what you just said, that's like foreign in a lot of other situations where you're ordering something like, I don't know how to order food. Well, there's a guide, you know, there's the waiter is like your guide. But when you walk up to the barista, somehow there's this connotation that you have to know how to order it. Yeah. And if you can't rise to their level, you're like less than.
Yeah, it's true.
And you feel like this intimidation. Yeah. And it's very, very weird that somehow the coffee culture created that snobbery.
It kind of, right? Especially because you're in front of people, or people are in front of you, and they all just kind of are like, boom, 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 going out there, and they know exactly what they want. And I want 4 pumps of this and 1 pump of that, and light ice, this and you're like, I've just never been here.
The guy in front of you might create the intimidation.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've had some bad coffees in the past, because again, I just didn't know how to order it. Now I drink coffee almost too much. I actually was just thinking, I think it was like Monday or Tuesday, I was like, I should try to stop drinking coffee every day and see how I can survive. And then it lasted a day. I went a day without coffee and I was tired. I had a headache, which isn't good.
You literally did that last week?
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Did you?
So Monday through Friday last week, I didn't have any coffee until the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
And it probably still is. If I don't drink coffee by like 9 or 10 in the morning, I start getting a headache.
Oh, wow.
So my goal this last 2 weeks has been to conquer that. Oh. And there was a couple of days where I didn't have coffee at all the whole day. And if I did have it, it was after 12. I like came here and got an espresso. Yeah. And part of that was just the way my schedule was working out. I wasn't able to come here before 12 last week. So I'm trying to do that and just see what happens.
Yeah.
I can never stop drinking coffee.
I'm sure you can't.
Otherwise I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like owning a gym and not, you know what I mean? Not working out at your gym.
Not being fit. Yeah. That would be bad.
Yeah, exactly. I could definitely see that. I drink coffee a little too much, and I blame working in television. Because
did your family drink coffee? Like, do you remember your parents drinking it, or your grandparents? Or
my grandparents.
And being like, why are they drinking that nasty beverage?
Actually, I do. It's funny that you say that, because I do. It's kind of like when you would see people when you were younger, like having like a bourbon on the rocks, and you were like, oh, that looks fun. Because I do remember going to my grandparents' house when I was a kid on the weekends, and I would always smell coffee. I didn't quite know what it was, but their house, the smell of their house, when I think of it, I think of coffee on the coffee pot. And my parents, they did grow up. My dad actually quit cold turkey drinking coffee probably 9 years ago. Wow. but my parents used to drink coffee, and I always remember, you remember the smell. That's kind of what I remember about
Everybody likes the smell.
Yeah. And I had
except I met one guy who didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot his name.
I think it's the best smell in the world. Oh, I think it's the best smell in the world. It really is. And I had an uncle who I remember he would brew coffee all day. I'd go to his house and it just smelled like coffee. It'd be 7 p.m. and you could still smell coffee. And I loved that smell. I just didn't like the taste at the time. But again, it's because I didn't know how to drink it. I didn't know how to order it.
and coffee used to all be pretty cheap and bitter too. And it's getting less and less bitter.
Yeah. And you can get a better selection of coffee. Like it's not just the Folgers coffee anymore. It's like, it's a lot better, and you can get these flavored beans, and you can get, like I said, I like to play around with stuff, and different seasons call for different things. Right.
Yeah. There's a coffee, you can get like coffee with like hazelnut flavor blended into it. And whenever I smell that, I remember this one guy that I used to work with, and he always brought his Stanley thermos filled with his his coffee that was hazelnut flavored, and he had already pre-mixed the cream in there, and he would pour that out in his little cup every 15-minute break that he had, and at lunch. And if I smell that smell, I remember John.
That's awesome.
And I think there's this really strong memories of coffee that people have that are really cool.
Yeah. It kind of takes you back to that moment in time, whatever it is. It's interesting. It brings people together.
I love it. Yeah. That's what I love about this place. And that's how we met. And that's how I've met so many people.
Yeah.
And that's how these conversations start.
Yeah. And that was the one thing that was such a bummer during the pandemic, because I remember saying a few times, like, I wish I could just go to Foursquare and just have because I have found myself here many times just on the weekends meeting with friends. It's like, hey, you want to go grab a coffee? Let's go to Foursquare. We can just sit inside or sit outside and just have coffee and just shoot the breeze. And I missed that a lot during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I did not realize how much I did that and how much I enjoyed that until it was gone.
Yeah.
So,
seriously.
there's something.
How did you deal with that?
I honestly don't know. I look back on 2020 and it is just such a blur. I feel like
seems like it was a long time ago.
It seems like it was a long time ago. I cannot wait till COVID-19 is a thing of the past, but I don't know how I dealt with it. If you want to know the truth, I think I just tried to keep myself as busy as I could, whether that was just hanging out.
Try to distract yourself.
Yeah.
This isn't happening right now.
Seriously. That was a weird time. Everything's taken away from us. Your coffee chats.
It was
and
crazy.
Your haircuts. It's like all these things. But I
did you grow your hair out?
I had to, because I couldn't get a haircut. I didn't cut my hair for 4 months, and my hair grows like a weed, which is why I keep it short, because my hair's really thick and it grows really fast. So 4 months of no hair cutting was crazy. People who would see me just couldn't believe it, because they're like, I've not seen your hair that long in 10 years. But I think I just got through it by I had my close family and some really close friends that we kind of were in our quarantine bubble together.
Yep.
Yeah. We still would adhere to the social distancing, but
sure.
I
get together in the yard and stuff.
There was a lot of driveway drinking.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I bought a chair. I bought a fold out chair that I kept in my trunk.
Bahama?
No, not a Tommy Bahama. I think it was a Walmart brand, because it was, but I bought a chair that I kept in my, trunk. It's actually still in there, because I would just roll up to people's houses and open my chair up, and I'd have coffee to go, or I'd have, champagne or whatever. There just wasn't much to do. So that's what I did. But there's just something about being in a coffee shop and having that face-to-face interaction that I really missed.
But I love that, because you, in your way, you pivoted too. Yeah. And you found a way to deal with it and to overcome it and to find joy in it.
Yeah.
And I think that the people who made it through stronger, that's what they did.
Sure. It was interesting, the people who were so angry. And I get it. Trust me, it was a really hard time for everybody. But
I didn't lose my job.
Right.
So, I don't know what that was like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there were some really angry people that are still really angry. And I understand everybody has a right to feel how they feel. But I couldn't go through that period of time. I couldn't go through it being angry. I had to just... and it was hard, but every day I just kind of have to remind myself, I take a breath and just remind myself it could be worse.
Yeah.
And there was just some things that, again, I think we took for granted, like our time with our friends, and just kind of stopping to really smell the roses. And that's such an old saying, an old fashioned thing to say, but it's so true.
Yep.
I remember being told that a long time ago when I was working 2 jobs and I was in school full time, and I had a coworker, and she said, you need to stop sometimes and smell the roses and just enjoy what's right in front of you, because you are just go, go, go. And that's not a way to live your life. And so that came back to me during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice to take that opportunity.
There's those sayings that stand the test of time. And I recently went to a wedding where it was a full Hindu wedding. And I'm not familiar with the Hindu religion. York, right? Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. And there was a lot of advice and stuff in there that parallels every other religion that I'm familiar with.
Sure.
And those sayings and those things of wisdom and those little idioms that stand the test of time, I think it's because they've made it through stuff like COVID-19 pandemic, and the people realize, okay, that these are things that we really need to hold on to. And when you say stuff like stop and smell the roses, it's because you've been through a time where everything smelled like garbage.
Right. Sure.
And you know that when there are those good times and you're passing a rose bush, you got to stop and smell it, because you don't know when the next 9/11 or the COVID pandemic or the Vietnam War or all these things that have defined generations, like when is that coming along, and how is it going to help me appreciate those times?
Well, even just the fact that we as Americans we are very lucky, because I mean, you think about, my grandpa, was a World War II veteran, and, I mean, he volunteered to go, but I mean, some didn't have a choice. They were drafted and they didn't have a choice. And you think about that now, and it's one of those things where it's like, we're really lucky that we live in the time we live, because some were not so lucky. And so that's why
you could be on the battlefield right now.
Exactly. And that's why during the pandemic, when some people were so angry, and they were so angry about the election and all these different things, you think, we as Americans are lucky that we have a say, that our opinions are valid and they matter, and we're not being told.
That was actually the biggest positive of this election, I believe, is that more people got out and voted than ever before in history. And clap it up for America. People got out there and made their voice heard.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
It was great to see so many young people doing that, because I always, my parents always told me it was a privilege to get to vote. And so when I turned 18, they made me go register to vote. And so, I mean, and again, it is a privilege. It's a privilege that we're able to do that and get to have a say and a voice in who our next president is and our politicians. And, we may not always like the outcome, but I mean, those who don't like the outcome but don't vote, that's what's always you think, well, go make your voice heard then, go vote. It matters. So I think we're just really lucky. And I think we just have to remind ourselves of that when we have those moments of just being angry about whatever, Again, social media was a very ugly thing this last year.
It was. I remember being a kid, and I don't remember which election it was, but it was a presidential election. And my dad was super hyped up that this one candidate needed to win. And if they didn't win, like, our country was over, right? Like we're going to be like, whatever he thought was of value. Sure. It was all going down the toilet.
Sure.
Or whatever. And, everything was going to get taken away from everybody, or whatever he thought. And when I remember listening to the radio late at night, like 11 o'clock at night, and hearing them finally call it and say that my dad's guy lost. And I remember going to bed that night thinking, like our lives are over.
Yeah.
I was probably 10.
Sure.
But he had put so much in emotionally and talked about it so much around me that I just thought, life's not going to go on because that guy lost.
Sure.
And, every election that's ever happened, they've said, this is the biggest election in history, right?
Yep.
And people said that this time. And it's like, here we are 4 or 5 months later, and the clock's still ticking.
Yeah.
People are still breathing. People are still dying. People are still running their businesses, starting their businesses, closing their businesses, having babies, adopting babies. Like, life is just going on.
Right.
And what happens in Washington, yes, that affects us. What happens in the national, local, international stage, yes, it affects us.
Right.
But will things keep on going? Yes. They always have, and they always will.
So true. That's why I think people who are so vocal about it and just sometimes just downright nasty about it,
that's not getting you anywhere.
It's not getting you anywhere.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that politics is a reason to, or religion or anything. I mean, I just don't think those kinds of things are enough reason to lose relationships and friendships and family members over.
Especially if you want to convince somebody to go to your side.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should become Muslim, but if you don't, then we're not friends anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Well, maybe you need to convince me.
Yeah.
Maybe it might take a couple years.
I always say you just have to know your audience. You know your audience in the sense that you know what you can say around certain people and what you should hold back. That's how social media, I wish it was.
A time to speak and a time to be silent.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I will never judge somebody based on who they vote for or what they believe. if it's not something I believe in, then maybe we just not discuss it. But I mean, and I always try to be just very mindful of that when I'm around people.
Totally.
I'm a very sarcastic person and I tell a lot of jokes and sometimes unintentionally. So
and if you can't laugh about yourself and your political views or even your religious views, then maybe that's of too much value in some sense.
Exactly.
You know, because you're losing relationships and humor, I think, is supposed to break the ice and start the conversation.
Yeah.
And or maybe help diffuse the conversation and move on to something else.
Yeah. I've been around people before where I've told a joke that they just didn't think was funny. And it's like, okay, where do we go from here? No, I agree though. I very much agree with that.
Yeah. Just let it be.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Let it be. Let it be.
How do you deal with being a celebrity and people knowing who you are?
Oh, gosh.
Someone asked me to ask you that question.
I think I know who that person was, CJ Duxbury.
Yep.
You know what's really funny is I don't, trust me, if my good friends like CJ and my family, talk about people wwho keep you grounded. They let me know all the time where I stand. Sure. And so
they make you feel like not a celebrity.
Oh, they let me know very quickly. They actually, because I do get recognized from time to time.
Totally.
And that's always really flattering because I know that the people who recognize me on the streets are the people who are hardcore Good Day fans.
They're supporting.
Very supportive. Yeah. And I'm not even on Good Day Sacramento full time anymore. I mean, I'm just a freelancer who's there. I pop up on the weekends every so often. And
which I think is cool that they even do that.
Oh, it's awesome.
When you told me they did that, I was like, that's rad.
Yeah,
you know?
it's so much fun to still do that.
Businesses are like, you're all in or you're all out.
Yeah, no, I left that place on really good terms and they invited me back. And so when people recognize me now, I know they're big fans because I'm not on every day like I used to be. But I don't really see myself as that, to be honest. It's funny to me. And when I'm with family or when I'm with friends and they're with me, they think it's annoying. They think it's hilarious because to me, to them, I'm just Kevin and I'm not anybody different. I had just had brunch with a friend at Land Ocean on Saturday and it was the same thing. Somebody recognized me and she's like, oh gosh, here we go. And it's like, don't embarrass me in front of my fans. Like, but I just am always really amazed and just flattered. And I think it's great because again, I still, I'm considered on-air talent on that show, but I still see myself as that intern that I was, a lot,
you worked your way up.
I worked my way up. Yeah. I don't see myself as somebody who's talent. And so sometimes when they're like, in my ear and they're saying, something about the talent, it's like, oh, I guess that is me. I don't see myself as that. Yeah. So it's funny, if anything. Yeah. So, and people, what I get a lot too, and this is where it can get a little awkward sometimes, is I get a lot of people that will say, I know you from somewhere. Where have I seen you before? And I stopped saying Good Day Sacramento because there was a couple of times where I would say Good Day Sacramento and they'd say, no. And it's like, talk about boasting myself.
You saw me out at the bars last week.
Yeah, right. They're like, nope, that is not where.
At the karaoke bar up on stage.
They're like, nope, I don't watch that show. And so now
they may not even know that they did though.
Yeah, maybe. But now when people have said, I know you from somewhere, I'll kind of, I don't know. I just have that face, I guess. Out, yeah. Because I mean, the last thing you want to do is look like.
Do you have a business in Roseville? You might know me from the Roseville Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, exactly. From my Facebook lives, so totally. Yeah. And now with the Denios gig, it's
Now you're going to be known for that too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Part of the Denial family.
Yeah. So what are you doing there right now?
I just started there. Actually, it's almost 2 months. I am their new marketing director.
Okay.
The Denios, they scouted me out. I've known them for quite a few years, actually, because of Good Day. I met them because they're very involved in the community. Tracy and Eric Denio are brother and sister, and been there forever since they were kids. They took over the business from their dad, who took it over from his dad, and it's a 3-generational business and growing.
That's amazing.
And talk about this diamond in the rough. I mean, seriously,
it's crazy.
That place is just full of some fantastic people. Yeah. Some of those vendors have literally been there 30 plus years selling at Denios. Some of them have started their businesses there and opened up businesses.
I know a guy who did that.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's where Pottery World started, right?
No way.
Yes. The owner of Pottery World used to sell at Denios.
Did he make his own pottery? Do you know?
I don't know if he made his own pottery or if he got it outsourced, but he would sell it there. That's and then crazy. He ended up opening pottery worlds in Rockland and Sacramento.
That place is huge now.
Huge. Yeah. And I think people just see it as a flea market or a farmer's market, but it is so much more than that. It really is. I tell the Denio family, I say it's what your grandparents created. They created just a dynasty, not within the family, but like I was talking to a vendor who sells rugs out there. And he was literally telling me a couple of weeks ago, he said, this place is a cosmopolitan of people where everybody's welcome and there is no class system here. There is no race, gender, ethnicity.
Everybody's the same when they walk through the gate.
Everybody's the same when they walk through that gate.
Yeah.
And then that's the neatest thing, especially in a place like Roseville that just continues to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Denio's is still that same family-oriented business. And literally the Denios take everybody in under their wing. When you're working there, when you're a vendor there, I mean, it's incredible how much you feel.
Have you ever sold there?
Have I ever sold anything? No, I have not.
It's awesome.
I've heard. Yeah.
So my dad was kind of a bit of a wheeler and dealer.
Okay.
And so there were multiple times where we went out there on a Saturday. You know, we got there at 5 or whatever with the trailer. We had our little 10 by 10 square painted on the asphalt, and we would set up our stuff and sell it.
That's awesome.
And it was a trip, man. Like you see it and everyone should do this. Like if you're listening to this, just get a bunch of stuff in your house you don't need. Look up Denials online. Denials, what's the website?
Denialsmarket.com.
Denialsmarket.com. Go look up what you need to do, but you basically show up and you have your space and you just sell your stuff.
You can literally show up the morning of.
It's like the garage sale.
Yeah, it is.
And
it is.
Like you learn so much about yourself and about other people when all of a sudden you have to barter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's something we don't understand here. And that's why like a lot of markets, like in the Middle East and stuff, they never collapse because they're totally built on a different economic system.
Yeah.
And like bartering, it's wild.
Yeah.
But it's totally legit in 90% of the world to barter prices and stuff. And people come here and they go to the mall and they're like, hey, let me barter for this. And the guy at Zara is like, we can't barter. That's the price. You know?
It's $69.99.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it really is just, I mean, our tagline is a world of possibilities, and it really is. I mean, it's just, like I said, and talk about humbling too, because you see people out there who are just some of the hardest workers, and that is so humbling to see that.
Yeah,
people are
farmers, actual farmers.
People are out there supporting their families, and this is how they make money. And it's so important to support those kinds of people. And kind of going back to what we discussed earlier with you, is Tracy and Eric Denio are some of the hardest working people there too. I mean, they lead by example, and I think that's why they are so respected, and I think that's why it's such a great place to work already. I mean, I've been there just a couple months, but they work so hard, and they really lead by example. I mean, they are there just as early as you would be or as I would be. Yeah. I mean, and they know all these vendors by first name. They know their whole stories. I mean, their families. I mean, Mr. Denio, their grandfather, was so loyal to his vendors. I mean, some of them, I mean, and he did things that people didn't even know. Like he helped a family who was a vendor and their house burned down. And they were going to use the money that they had been saving to send their kid to college. They were going to use that to repair their house, and he sent some of his workers out there and rebuilt their house for them for free.
Wow.
So they could send their kid to college. They have paid for kids to go to college, some of their vendors' kids. I mean, so they really give back to their community. They really give back and to just their people, and they take care of you. And so that has been so cool to see and be a part of so far. And I'm looking forward to that just growing
and those stories. A lot of those stories haven't been told.
They haven't
you're going
to
have the opportunity to tell them.
I am working on a project right now to tell those stories. That's actually. Awesome. So I'm really excited. Next year will be 75 years since Denios has been in business. So we're working on a documentary right now. Okay. Actually. Yep. So that's exciting.
I think that people need to hear more of those stories because we've lost a little bit of faith in the individual business and the individual person to provide for the community. And I think if people let those stories shine, it'll help instill faith back into that, or inspire people to do it, because I think it's true. You know, there's been some areas where things have fallen through the cracks in our community, and we see homelessness and stuff rising, and it's like, hey, who used to take care of these people, and now we're just asking the government to do everything, right? And it used to be more people like the Denial family who would step up and help people, and then that family wouldn't become homeless because the Denial family helped them. And so maybe they can inspire other business owners like myself to, hey, step up and help somebody, because you could be the difference between their light going out or them, you know, continuing to let their light shine in whatever sphere that they have.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, actually, because I was just talking to Ken Denio yesterday, and he was telling me that his dad used to go to, like the Gathering Inn or places like that. And he would find homeless people, and he would say, okay, who wants to work? And he would hire them on the spot, and they would go work. And I mean, not all the time did they use their money to work out. Yeah. But I mean, not only, you know, sometimes they'd use their money for alcohol or whatnot, you know, but that was their choice. But he would give them that opportunity.
But he couldn't say he never gave them an opportunity.
He gave so much opportunity.
They can't say no one ever gave me an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. He gave so much opportunity. And as long as they were to work on time and they did what they were supposed to do, he took care of them. And I think that we miss that so much now. I mean, I think that we're just, I don't know. I don't know if, I mean, I feel like we were kind of the last generation that was, you know, knew the value of hard work, I should say. I don't know if that's something that, you know, is politically correct to say. I just feel like nowadays, I think with social media on the rise, and I think just various things that are going on in the world, I think that, just, you know, people just forget what it means to work hard and put in the effort, put in the work.
What does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's, and we need to get back to that.
Yeah.
We need to get back to that.
And I think that when people hear that, what they hear is hours. And it doesn't always mean hours in the day. It just means taking opportunities when they come and not saying no because you want to binge watch some show. Right. Or saying, I'm going to go put myself out there beyond my comfort zone. And find an opportunity that is lying in wait. And I don't believe people when they say, oh, I can't find a job.
I don't, especially right now, everywhere's hiring.
There is a job somewhere. And if you go get a job at the local fast food restaurant, it will be a tiny, tiny ignition spark to drive you on to the next thing and 100%. The next thing and the next thing. But if you're going to sit at home and wait, there's a joke I always used to tell as a kid where this guy, Frank, goes into the church and is praying, God, you know, please help me win the lottery. He leaves the church. He goes to work. His boss says, I'm sorry, we have to lay you off. He goes back to the church. God, I really need to win the lottery. I just lost my job. Next day, he goes home and his wife says, I've been having an affair and I'm kicking you out of the house. And he goes back to church. God, help me win the lottery. I got to pay alimony, blah, blah, blah. He goes out on the street and somebody repos his car and now he's homeless. And so 10 years later, he walks into the church. God, it's been 10 years. My life is completely falling apart. Please help me win a lotto ticket. And this booming voice just comes out of nowhere for the first time in 10 years and says, Frank, work with me. Go buy a lotto ticket.
That's
a lot of people.
It is.
I wish somebody would just give me an opportunity to be an influencer. Well, who are you talking to?
Right. Who are you talking to? You know, that was one thing my dad, you know, and my mom always said too. It doesn't matter where you work, because wherever you work, wherever you decide to get a job, you need to go and you need to put 110% into it. It could be at a fast food restaurant, but you're going to put effort into it as if you were working in a law firm, or if you're working in a law firm, you need to, you know, and that's where I think working in a newsroom really is that is such a great training ground because it's fast paced. It's thinking on your toes. Not every day is the same. It takes a special type of person to work in a newsroom, to survive a newsroom. And I really, seriously, and I really think that was the reason, that really was a great training ground for me to go out there and be able to work these other jobs and have these other career endeavors because of my experience in the newsroom. Because super fast paced and I'm very much like on the go, and it was because of that place. So, I mean, That's what I always tell people. It's like, if you can survive a newsroom, I used to tell the interns that, because somewhere down the road, I was then the intern coordinator for Good Day. And I loved doing that because that's where I started. And I'd always say,
you were bringing in the fresh fish.
Yeah. And I would always say, if you're coming here thinking you're going to be on TV, there's the front door, because there's so much more to just this place and coming in and being on TV right away. There's a lot of hard work.
You're going to have to grind it.
Exactly. Those are some of the hardest work. My friends who are producers and, they're some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. And so, but I always used to say, if you get a job in any news industry and you decide to leave after a year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever, you can survive anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
It is so true. I joke about that with my friends sometimes. I'll meet somebody and I'll say, oh yeah, such and such, but they could never survive working in a newsroom. And we just kind of get that because it's like, But.
And you are a living testimony to somebody saw in you something and gave you the next step. And then at that place, somebody saw something and gave you the next step. And then at the last place you were, someone saw you and gave you the step where you're at now.
Literally.
And that was just because you were doing exactly what you just said. You were giving 110% everywhere you were. You weren't being discontent. I mean, maybe there were times where you were like, I don't really want to go to work today.
Right. But 100%. We all have those days.
You still showed up.
Yep.
And you gave 100% maybe that day. Maybe you didn't give 110. And the next thing came.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
It wasn't that crazy. There's no magic formula.
Yeah. No, there wasn't. I've been so lucky, and I'm so grateful to everybody that's given me a chance and, just let me do my thing. Yeah. I've been really, really lucky. No complaints at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
What do people need to know about media that they don't know, and the people in media? What and specifically local, right? Like what would you want people to know?
Can I tell you what news people hate?
Yeah.
News people hate when you pitch them a story and you send a long press release. I always would tell people, if you're going to pitch a news story to somebody, you need to look at it like an invitation to a birthday party. The who, what, when. Don't give all this backstory, because I used to be the booker for Good Day. So if I would get a news release and it was 4 paragraphs, I wouldn't even read it. I'll be very upfront.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even read it. So I always tell people, if you're going to pitch a story, short, sweet, and concise, like a birthday invitation, and never tell a reporter or an anchor how to do their job. And I think because that happens sometimes. Sometimes you work PR.
Because that's literally like a violation of what their job is.
100%.
Yeah.
And trust me, you'll never get called again.
Yeah.
They'll never want to work with you again.
Hey, ask me this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or why don't you shoot this angle? Or what do you think about there? And there are ways to say it. Like sometimes you'll go to a story and it's like
maybe you could say, hey, this part of our building's under construction. Could you leave it out of the shot?
And that's
different.
That's way different. But I sometimes you have people that'll try to tell you how to do your job, and news people hate that. So those are the two things that I have always told people. Which I think is
awesome. And I think that's a foundation of our country.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
It's hey, don't tell me because I'm literally the voice of telling people what's going on, and I have to be accountable to the truth, whether you want me to show the truth or not.
Yeah. Yeah, always. And I always am really conscious about that too. I'll always say, okay, so what would you like to show? Like if I'm here doing a story with you, like I've done many times, it's like, what do you want to focus on? This is your opportunity to showcase your business. But, you've never been the type of person that's like, Kevin, shoot here, and then call it a day.
I never even thought about doing that.
Yeah, no, and it's because
I will.
Yeah, right. Just when it's me though. Just when it's me though. But yeah, so those are the two things I always tell people.
This is my good thumb.
Yeah,
this is my bad.
Yeah, right. Yep. And that's what I always tell people. Those are the two things. If you want to be successful when pitching a story, and when you want to be successful the day of the shoot.
So rewind to the first one.
Yep.
People do that. They just email you and say, hey, you should come check this out, or how does that work?
It varies. Sometimes I'll get people in the community are always the best, because they'll tell me about places. They'll say, hey, you
can't be out watching everything going on.
Right. And
they find out.
I still to this day will get people who say like, hey, I was at this business and it's really cool. You should check it out sometime. But I'm also always constantly on the lookout too. I'll always, if I see something, I'm just like,
you don't want to miss something right in front of your face.
And I'm always like, hey, this is a really cool spot. You should be on Good Day. Have you ever thought about that? And they're like, no. Or they're like, yeah, but I didn't know who to contact. Oh, I'll get you on, because my friend Bailey is now the booker. And so I'm always in communication with her and my friend Morgan, who's the executive producer. And I'm always in communication with them. Hey, I'm going to send you ideas. And they're always, and they know that I know what to look out for. So they always trust my judgment, because they know that I did this for a long time too. Like there are now. And
send them garbage.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm always on the lookout for things. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I used to get these press releases that were really, actually, that's how I got to know the Denio family, because Tracy Denio would send me these press releases that were super straightforward. And it had every detail that I needed, where all I'd have to send her back is
a bunch of garbage.
Exactly. I just send her an email back. Love this. Let's do this. See you Saturday. But then sometimes I would get these press releases that were 3 pages long. And after maybe the first paragraph, I was like, I don't even know where the beef is in this story. Yeah. So yeah, super straight. Wow. And even now, especially, like I said, with just the way people are today, everybody's in a hurry. So it's like, if you have a new coffee that's out, it's as simple as a text. Hey, got a new coffee coming out. When can Good Day come out?
Yeah.
Be there tomorrow.
I was actually recently consulting my best friend, and they were telling me about this problem at work. Mm-hmm. And they were telling me all these details about the problem. And then I said, stop right there. Mm-hmm. I heard nothing that you said about the details. Yeah. And I said, I'm really sorry to say that, because I know these details are really important to you. Yeah. But you have to understand that I don't understand anything of what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know about how the nut in the engine connects to the thing and then goes to the drivetrain. I don't understand any of that. Right. Does the car go, or is it broken down? Right. That's really, I'm thinking of that. And they were telling me that they're taking this up to a high level person to try and help solve the problem between two lower level employees, themselves and another person. Sure. And I said, you're going to have to think like them. Yeah. And they care about the big picture. Right. So if you give me all the details, I can't hear the message because there's so much convoluted stuff. Yeah. So you got to clean up the message to just be, we are losing money in the company. Yeah. Right. Oh, I can understand that. Yeah, exactly. Now, why are we losing money? Exactly. Well, because the nut and the bolt and the thing and this and that. Right. Okay, great. Now I understand. But if you tell me all the details and somewhere in there you get the message that the company is going to fail if we continue doing this, well, the person will not hear that because of all the white noise. Right. So we got to clean it up. Especially when you're not involved in that industry or that community or that, yes. that makes it hard. That's why, I try not to talk work with people unless I work with them. Because I feel like, when you're trying to tell other people what's going on, it kind of sounds like white noise sometimes. And I just saw a GIF yesterday, actually, on Instagram, and it was a guy. What's that guy? He's been all over Instagram, and it's like a guy. He's holding up like a piece of cardboard, and they changed the messaging on it. Yes, but there was that same picture guy yesterday with the sign or something. Yeah, with the sign, and there was there was a it said. When I start to say, wow, that's crazy, it means it's time to shut the hell up. And that made me laugh, because I looked back on like all the times I've talked to people and I said, wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's crazy. And I have subconsciously done that because I'm just, let's speed this along. Yeah, you don't and that made me laugh a lot harder than it should have. But that's hilarious. Because I've had people say that to me before. So I was like, now I know. Yeah. It means stop talking. I don't care. Or like you said, I don't know what you're telling me. Clean it up. Yeah. I'm going to start saying that now. Clean it up. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that is. Wow, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. And with that, we're going to shut the hell up. Kevin Hernandez, it's been awesome having you. Thank you for really coming on. Yeah. Yeah. I hope this wasn't too long. I'm a talker, so. Oh, no, not at all. No, and I hope that you guys found value in today's conversation. As you know, I always want to remind everyone we have these conversations to encourage you to have conversations. So find your Kevin in your life, as I have, and run into people. And thank you for being here. Check out Denio's Family Market on Denio's Farmers Market online, and definitely check them out in person as well. It's a great place to spend a Saturday or Sunday, right? Yeah, Saturday or Friday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday. Awesome. Yep. Yeah. And continue to like and subscribe for more content. And we will see you soon on the Proclamation Podcast.